And so we need you to come over when we break from our meeting, and let's do something funny and give him a birthday celebration. I said, on the spur of the moment, I can't be funny on the spur of the moment. And let me tell you, I had a suit. I hate wrinkles, and I have a suit that was ugly as could be. But what was good about the suit is it never wrinkled. I mean, you could sleep in it, and it wouldn't wrinkle. So I kept saying, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to come down there. And they finally talked me into it. Well, I don't know if you ever do things you don't really want to do, and you got an attitude, I don't want to go. So I grabbed this ugly suit because I didn't have to iron it, and I'm putting it on, and I can't be funny. So on the way out the door, I just picked up, I had a can of shoestring potatoes that someone had given me in a gift bag, so I grabbed that. And then I had a gold cup, like you all are too young to know, there used to be a beggar's cup. It was silver, but this one was a gold beggar's cup that had been in something someone had given me. So I'm walking out the door and I don't want to go, and so I finally came down here. And so when the meeting broke, he said, he started out the door, and you'll see this on television. He starts out the door and said, Doc, come on back, we got a surprise for you, and then I get up. So I said, Dr. King, here's a cup. And you're always talking about President Johnson's war on poverty. So take this cup and stand out on the corner and beg for money and help him with his war on poverty. And then I said, you're always going to jail, so next time you go, take these shoestring potatoes. And he falls out laughing. He just falls over the table laughing. And we went on a series of things like that, and then I ended up saying, but seriously, this is your birthday, so here's a cake, happy birthday. Well, there was a television camera crew here documenting him because they were doing this documentary on him in Italy. And so the crew was here. Well, as it turned out, that was January 15, 1968, and that was his last birthday because he was killed in April. So that became very valuable footage because it's the last birthday. So now they did a major motion picture on Dr. King, and all the research, they could never find him smiling. He was, because you know, he was always talking serious stuff, so they saw him seriously this, talking this. So they ran across this footage where he's just falling out. He's just falling out laughing. So they said, oh, this is great relief. So they put it in the movie. And then PBS picked it up and put it in what was that? Eyes on the Prize. And then they put on something else. So it runs every year, twice a year. You'll see it somewhere. April 4th coming up, you'll see me. January 15th, you'll see me. In the movie, you'll see me. So here I am, with this ugly old suit on. And I became famous in history. So I told this story one time to a group and told about this ugly suit. Well, following that, I was in Houston, Texas, and a man walked in, oh, by the way, have you met Xernona Clayton? He said, yeah, that's that one with the ugly old suit on. But couldn't have planned it. Couldn't have planned it. Then on March 1968, he was going to Memphis to reschedule the march that they had had violence on before. And Mrs. King asked if I would drive him to the airport. I ended up being the last person in Atlanta to see him, because when I drove him to Atlanta airport, he went to Memphis and he was killed a few days later. Now let me just tell you one quick little story, because there's just too many to tell you. That day, April 4th, about 5 or so p.m. in Atlanta, is when we got the message about his having been murdered. And after that, Mrs. King, and you know the story because you know the history, all this is recorded about what happened. She was coming out of her driveway going to the airport thinking she's going to Memphis, and they told her that he in fact had died, and so there's no need to go. She came back home. And then she said to me, I met her at her house, and she said, I want you with me. I didn't take a bath. I was the one that you can recognize and identify for 3 days. Because here I come, no bath. Because she wouldn't let me leave her. And so now when you see pictures of Mrs. King in the headdress that won a Pulitzer Prize, I want you to know that I was the one who designed all of that.
Wow.
All of it. Because she was so busy, she wanted me to do everything. But let me tell you what's really funny. I know 3 people, there are probably more, but I can give you the names, addresses, and serial numbers of 3 people who have said, I did that. I went to the lady's house and she's got the picture because, you know, she was on the cover of everything. And the picture won a Pulitzer Prize, so it's everywhere. And this woman has it framed in her house in a curio. And we went there for something and she told everybody, it's like a look and see. I want you to see, I did this. I created Mrs. King's whole wardrobe for the funeral.
Wow.
And they said, really? And somebody said, well, why did you say that? I said, listen, she knows she didn't. I know she didn't. What's the point of fighting over it? The facts will remain. You know, when you tell the truth, you don't have to worry, you know. I didn't need to prove to anybody I did. I knew it, Mrs. King knew it, people, everybody who knew. But I have to just tell you this one little bit. The night after we got home, you know, to her house, their house has a long hallway, and her bedroom was at the back. And they had people up front who were allowing people to come, but she would only see and talk to people who she wanted, because she was under such stress. But everybody called, and I would take the calls back in her bedroom and kind of screen them for her. And they would say, like, President Johnson called, and so, and you know, after a while, you know these people's voices, just like if you knew, if Mr. Obama would call, you know, well, that's Mr. Obama, not, you know his voice. So when he said, this is Lyndon, they don't say President, this is Lyndon. Oh yeah, I know you, you know, to myself, I'm talking to the President, you know. And so everybody had the same message. I think we all do. When something happens, you'll say, you know, if there's anything I can do, let me know. That's, you know, you really don't know what to do, but I think it's kind of a common concern that you just say to people, you know, I'm so sorry about your death of your loved one, but if there's anything I can do, let me know. So everybody said that, except one person. Bobby Kennedy, who was the Attorney General at the time, called and said, Mrs. King, he had her put me on speaker so I could hear everything he was saying and he could talk to me while we talked to her. Said, I understand, Mrs. King, that you are considering going to Memphis to pick up your husband's body. And so I have arranged an airplane that's now in Atlanta at airport, tailgate number 1234. The pilot, Mr. John Smith, his telephone number is Bigaway 3000. Call him if you decide to go. And I also understand that you may want to have him buried here. If so, this, that, and other. And Mrs. King, we've had trouble getting you because we've been calling since about 5:30 when we first heard the news. It's now about 8 or 9 o'clock. And it says, so it's obvious you need more telephone lines. So at 12:15 tonight, midnight, we are installing 8 telephone lines in your house. So Mr. Sam Smith will be there. He's on a plane now from Washington. He's coming to your house. He'll be there to install 8 telephone lines. And he went on. Also, we know that you don't know as much about protocol as the Kennedys have had because we've had tragedy before. So we have 15 staff persons who are on their way, and they will be set up tomorrow morning, and they'll be at so forth and so on. And have Xernona call every hotel in Atlanta and tie up every room in Atlanta. Don't let anybody have rooms until they come through her. So I said to City 48, you can't get a room until you see me. So you're talking about being important and powerful. I was that for a moment. You know.